Picture this. Ships in space. People actually playing EVE instead of sitting in stations? Equinox is upon us now, and with it, CCP is bringing forth a huge swath of major changes that is not only going to change the entire foundation of nullsec, but also the way everyone in the game is playing. And I, for one, think this is the dawn of a bright new day for EVE Online. Welcome in. Go ahead and grab a seat because this is going to be a doozy. In this video, I'm going to be going over basically everything that is changing, my thoughts about the change, and how you can take advantage of it. And because there is so much to talk about, I am going to be splitting the info into 4 major categories. First, all of the nullsec changes. Second, the new ships coming to the game. Third, the Skinner system, and my strong feelings about it. And then, the really juicy stuff. The changes that don't really fit into the above categories, but get me really excited about the game's future, which I believe will make space feel much more alive again. So let's go ahead and dive into these nullsec changes. There's a lot of them, but they are mainly focused around these new Upwell Consortium structures. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the Skyhook. The Skyhook is a new structure that kind of replaces and upgrades your planetary customs office. You can purchase the BPO from Upwell Consortium for 5.5 billion. You can build these structures, and then you can place them where the POCOs are/were. You can only place these skyhooks in Sov null space, so you need to control that area. And depending on what kind of planet you put them on, you're going to get a different kind of resource out of it. So first up is power. If you put your skyhook next to a plasma, storm, or gas planet, you're going to be generating power. And what this does is power your Sov hub, which you will need to keep your Sov upgrades online. Second up is your workforce, your people. These come from temperate, oceanic, and barren planets, and what they do is provide a kind of like power. You need enough of them to fuel your Sov upgrades, but these can instead be shipped off to different systems. So they do all have to all be connected, but if you have a nice congruent area of space, you're going to be able to maybe get a lot of workforce from this one system and a lot of power from this other system, and just fuel your workforce over into this big, awesome, cool system. Which leads us into our third major resource, reagents. So the last 2 planets, lava and ice, if you put your skyhook here, you're going to be able to get these infrastructure materials, which are called reagents, and these are actual items that you will actually deliver to your Sov hub. And this is where the raiding comes in. That's right, you can raid these skyhooks. Reagents can be stolen by linking to these skyhooks. So in order to link, a player will need to first shoot at the skyhook and bring it to below 10% shield HP. So like a solo person won't be able to do this. You need at least a small gang. We're figuring out the numbers, but you're going to need an amount of force. And then you need to link to it, which is using a ship that is a cruiser-sized or larger, including capital ships, but excluding freighters and jump freighters. And then while you are linked, players cannot warp, use micro jump drives, cloak, or tether, and their maximum velocity is capped at 1,000 meters per second. So it's just kind of like a sitting ship there. It can still defend, it can still attack itself, but it's going pretty slow, and it's just focusing on what it's doing. Additionally, on a theft of a skyhook silo, it will send out a notification to all players first in the solar system, and then after 2 minutes, all pilots 1 jump away, and finally, after 5 minutes, an additional notification to all pilots within 2 jumps away. And then, after 10 minutes have passed, the theft will succeed, and then the cargo bay will eject loot from the silo for anyone to collect. Just think about scatter mechanics, super fun times there. We're going to figure out how all of this works and like what kind of size gang you need, but that's the basics of raiding these skyhooks, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, especially with these new ships. But what if you want to do more than just raid these skyhooks? Well, you can. So these are going to be structures, and they are going to be very similar to Ritaru's and Anthenors in terms of like similar hit points, resistances, damage caps, as well as the single reinforcement cycle. So blow them up to your heart's content, especially if you're doing those big old null set clashes. Next up is the second structure, the Moon Drill. That's right, automated moon mining is coming back. So this is going to be using fuel blocks as well as magnetic gas, which is one of those reagents from the lava skyhook. And you can place these moon drills in low, null, and wormhole space. So they are less efficient than if you were going to do it manually. However, it does it all kind of on its own. If you want to blow these up, you can. They are another thing objective in space to go after and actually go send your ships and do things in space. You gotta love it. So these things only have one reinforced timer on their hull, and then it also has to be manually repaired by the enemy. It doesn't just automatically get its ship back after the reinforcement timer. And also, when you blow it up, it is always going to drop a part that is inside it that is worth 300 million ISK that you can have to buy from the Upwell Consortium. Speaking of buying things from Upwell, you can buy this BPO for 6 billion at their stores as well. And then lastly, a thing to note is that if you are going to put one of these moon drills in a spot, it is going to take the spot of an Anthenor or Tatara. So you can't have like an Anthenor and a moon drill in the same location. You gotta choose one, okay? All right, let's go ahead and start talking about the big one, the Sov Hub. These things are going to be replacing iHubs, and it is going to be placed somewhere around the sun, about 2 million kilometers away. The TCUs are going to be around for a little bit longer to kind of bridge this system of ownership during a transition period between now and June 20th, which we'll talk about a little bit in the future. These Sov Hubs use the new Skyhook resources as well as the sun, that's why it's placed so close to the sun, to fuel their upgrades, which makes the various systems naturally predispositioned for a type of role. Like you're going to have like an indie system, a ratting system, a mining system, a travel hub, all depending on like how much that system can produce power, how much it can produce workforce, or how much it can produce reagents. It's going to be a glorious sight to see. Let's go ahead and talk about these upgrades. First, you will be able to buy the BPOs for them currently, but you're not going to be able to actually activate them until after that transition period on the 20th. You can get, with these upgrades, Supercat Production, Jump Gate, Sino Jammers, Easy PvE sites, Hard PvE sites, and Specific Mining Array. So you're going to be able to mine whatever kind of mineral you desire to your heart's content. And on top of that, there is mining escalations. That's right, if you do enough mining, you can get an escalation that will spawn a site with an abundance of all kinds of ores. But what if you're not a miner pilot? What if you're a PvE pilot? Well, as I said before, there's an upgrade for a hard PvE site, and that is going to be spawning these Forsaken Sanctums. And these are new combat sites that are geared towards battleships or even marauders, and they have the chance to escalate as well into one of 4 new escalations. So these new escalations are a pirate shielded starbase, a pirate capital fleet, a guaranteed faction spawn, or, get this, a guaranteed officer spawn. What? Officer spawns are, at least in some part, going to become more common. How common? Time will tell, but get ready for some of them purple loot drops, baby, because it's coming. It's coming! Moving onward, let's talk about ships. So there are going to be 4 new ships, and these are going to be specialized hauler with a smaller standard hold, but a very big infrastructure hold that will also double as halfway decent missile platform ships. They do it all, sort of. They are particularly well suited for raiding these skyhooks because those are going to be called infrastructure goods. And they even have a roll bonus that supports them in doing this. It's a little unclear if they don't get any of the negative effects or just that they can always link to it. We'll see how that actually plays out in game. So this infrastructure hold is a brand new type of specialized cargo hangar, which is capable of carrying a large number of infrastructure-related items. What is that, you ask? So good a question. It's going to be things like citadels, flex structures, structure modules, service modules, fuel-related items, SOV infrastructure, sovereignty upgrades, reagents, moon materials, planetary commodities, and more. So I guess just figure out what and more means, but it can carry a lot of interesting goods in its big ol' hangar. They are also introducing 3 new skills related to these ships. First is Upwell Hauler for your regular haulers, and then Upwell Freighter for the Upwell Freighter. And then lastly, Upwell Starship Engineering for if you're going to build these new ships. You're going to need that last skill. So let's go ahead and talk about these ships. First up is the Squall. So the Squall is a nice T1 hauler that's about as strong as a Caracal if you fit it up for offense and defense. It is fun, strong, but likely quite niche. You know, it's an interesting ship. It's a very specific skill that you need to train to get into it, but it'll be a nice little entryway to maybe raiding these skyhooks, maybe doing some basic infrastructure work, fuel blocks, that kind of stuff. Easy peasy, nice little ship. Next up is the Deluge. So this bad boy is the blockade runner of the bunch, a tier 2, and it's kinda like a recon ship. You know, it can do its cloak thing, it can do its jump drive, it can do black ops. It's going to be really good in black ops fleets. It can, of course, carry its stuff, do the skyhook thing. It's going to be able to do an amount of damage, maybe close to the rapier, you know, something pretty nice. Next up is my favorite of these new Upwell haulers, and it is the Torrent. This bad boy is the deep space transport, and it's got big dick energy. It's got base 3 warp core strength, 100% bonus to overheating props, local tank, and newts and nosses. It's gonna be beefy, it's gonna be able to do an amount of damage, it's gonna be very good at, like, once you're on a target, locking them down. It's gonna have heavy tackle, it's gonna be able to newt you down easy, it can do the raiding of the skyhook. I'm very excited for the Torrent, and I hope you are too, because it seems really fucking cool. And lastly, another extremely cool ship, one-of-a-kind kind of ship, is the Avalanche. So this is the tankiest freighter, and it brings tanky freighter to a whole new meaning. You thought 3 bulkheads was tough? This bad boy has mid slots, high slots, low slots. It's got it all. On top of that, you can also use missiles. It's a missile platform. You can use regular missiles, but it also has a big damage bonus to auto-targeting missiles. So you just click button and missiles start flying out of this thing. So much so that it even out-damages a golem. That's a lot of damage. On top of that, it can be tanky. You can fit a scriptable capital shield resist module onto this thing. So you see what enemy is about to try and gank you. You just script correctly, you just overheat that resist mod, and you're tanking out of this world, baby. This thing is going to see probably a lot of interesting, weird use cases in all areas of space. I'm excited to see where it lands. But yeah, super interesting. Some things to note is that it can't cloak, so don't try and cloak. But also, to really just actually up it even more, they're introducing faction auto-targeting missiles. Not just for the Avalanche, but you're going to have faction auto-targeting missiles across the board. So that's going to be pretty nice for all of those, like, farming AFK ships, you know. Super cool. All right, with ships out of the way, it's time to talk about the Skinner. And oh man, it could have been great. Let's go ahead and jump into Eve, and we're just gonna go through this a little bit, and we're gonna highlight some things, and we're gonna make a skin of our own. So first, you load up Skinner. Wonderful, right? You're introduced to this nice little studio. Let's go ahead and create a new design. You can select a hull. Let's go ahead and select a cruiser, right? Maybe like a Sacrilege. That's a nice little ship. So first, base cost, 30 flex. All right, cool. You are greeted with 4 options here: primary, secondary, detailing, and tech slot. And then over here, 1 pattern slot. So let's make a ship, right? Let's go to our primary. We get a bunch of these options for basic or metallic coatings. Let's go ahead and put this on. Maybe this. All right. We've put the lilac stardust. As you can see, this goes up. Your detailing, it goes up to 2, almost 3. Plex cost goes up. So the more detailed or rare or intricate your skin, the more it's going to cost you to produce. But you know, cost isn't everything. Skins already in the game do cost money. So we're going to try and see how much of a difference or not a difference that's going to end up being. Secondary slot. Let's choose, I don't know, a nice yellow. Sure, why not? This skin's going to end up looking terrible. We're up to 4. We're up to 50. Okay, sure, fine. We're making a skin. Third detailing slot. Let's see. I don't really like any of these options. We're going to go ahead and click Buy More. So this says Deny Not Saved. Okay, cool. Let's save this. You can name your skin. Skin is cool. You can name a ship line as well. All that's pretty cool. Like, a lot of the majority of the stuff is actually really cool, and I do like it. My main problem is just going to kind of be this number here. All right, so we've saved our ship. Let's go ahead and hit Buy More, which brings us to the at least base Paragon Hub skin buying store. So you can buy these things in the store. They should assumedly always be there. You can also get cooler, rarer things out in the world based on events, daily goals, drops on different loot tables, lots of different cool stuff to be able to get super rare, unique, cool nano coatings and patterns and all of that cool stuff. And speaking of, there's actually an event going on right now, a login event, believe it or not, between now and the 17th, where if you log in, you're going to be able to get some of these stuff for the skinner. We're in the store. We want to buy something that looks cool. Oh, what? What do you know? There's a Plex cost for this. And if you look up here, 3, you're going to be a limited design element. You're going to be able to use this 3 times. Let's do this 25 Plex one, which is going to be, since we're only going to be using one of our 3 options of it, it's going to be, you know, like another 10 Plex. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. So let's buy this element. And then this is a physical item, which is nice. So we go to our item hanger, and then we can activate this thing. And now, if we go back to our studio, we go back to our design, which is saved. Let's go ahead and edit the design. And then we were looking at this. Cool. It goes up from 50 to 75 Plex now, on top of we spent like an extra 10 Plex to get this nano coating in here. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Fourth text slot. Oh, there doesn't seem to be a lot of options here. Let's make sure that let's buy another one, because I think it'll look cool. I don't like these options here. Let's go hit Buy More. Brings us to this shop. Tell me on this shop where it says that this nano coating will go into that slot, because here's a little info for you. It doesn't. So poisoned edged, right? We want to use poisoned edged in that little area there. I honestly don't know if this works, but we're going to give it a go. 35 Plex. Let's buy this, another one. Sure. Which is adding, again, just think another 10 Plex onto our price. Activate this. Sure. Go back into it. Edit design. Go to our 4th slot. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. So, like, how do we know? How do we know that what we get is going to be actually usable? I guess we don't. Needs a little bit more time in the shop. But let's go ahead and use one of these. Sure, we'll use our pink one, which was a limited one. I think that costs like 35 Plex or whatever. But total cost is now 110 Plex. We're not done. We're not done. We have a pattern slot. All right, we're going to be able to get patterns. We don't really like the fade in, and we don't like the division. We want something more, right? Of course, you don't have to buy something more. But why don't we just buy something that I don't know? Let's buy Corroded Trust. Let's buy the Corroded Trust one, shall we? 75 Plex. Split that in 3 because it's a limited. Just add in your head another 25 Plex into this cost item. Let's buy this. Activate this, hit yes, go to studio, go to save design. There's also a lot of loading, which is meh. Corroded trust. And then this is actually pretty cool. You can select a nano coating. Of course, you know, if you select something too detailed, it's going to make you pay more plex. Oh, we can use the poisoned edge that we bought here. So let's use the poisoned edge. And then here, we actually have really cool options. Like you can use your control and then like left and right mouse button to like move this camera thing. And like, I actually do like this. It's not all bad, guys. It's not all bad. Like a lot of its implementation is pretty freaking cool. It's cool. Yeah, there we go. Nice little splash. All right. Cool looking skin. All right. We've done all that. We can create skin. And then we're not done yet. Depending on your skills, let's go to the skills. If we go to sequencing skills, there are a bunch of new skills in this queue. Don't worry, it's easier than it looks. There is sequencing time modifiers. There's 4 tiers of this skill, and it basically just reduces the amount of time that it will take to sequence. Because right now, it's going to take us 10 days to actually get this skin. And then there is mass sequencing skills, which allows you to basically, instead of series, you can do parallel, right? So you can do, mass sequencing is the series. So instead of 1, you can do 5 and then 10 and then 15, as many as you go up that skill. There are a number of levels on that skill as well. And then third is the parallel ones. So instead of like only being able to do 1 skin for like 10 runs of it, you could do like 1 skin for 5 runs and another skin for 5 runs at the same time. And then there is also a selling one, so you can upgrade that skill to be able to sell more different kinds of skins on the market. It's all pretty standard stuff, just more skill point stuff to put in skill points, because why not? All right, we're making this skin. We need oh cool, we only need 0, 0, and 500. There are these different Fremononic sequencers, curve sequencers, and alignment sequencers. Depending on what you use, you'll need more or less of them. These are items that just drop in the game. They're just another little item for people to pick up. You should probably get some in your drops campaign, daily login or daily goals things, all that cool stuff. Looks like we have enough here. Time to sequence is 10 days because of our skills. It cost 130 plex. Plus the 25, plus the 10, plus the 10. 175. Let's start sequencing. Now, we could wait, or complete now. 300 plex. To tempt those who are impatient, CCP has so graciously offered us a way to complete now skins. You gotta love it. And because we are so impatient, we're going to just go ahead and click this complete now button. Now, as we said, 175 plex for the skin, but now we have one in our collection. We go to our collection. Wonderful. Let's sell this skin. All right, so we go to the sell option, and it says list for day, 3-day, week, 2-day, 3 months. Lots of options. Unlike regular things, this does actually change the listing fee here. 3 months is 5 million ISK. Who cares about 5 million ISK? We're going to list it for 3 months. Price. Now here is where it gets important. Paragon Hub vendor fee. 30%. Not alterable by skills or anything to my knowledge. And let's pretend we don't want to make a profit on this. How much do we have to sell this for so that we just cut even? Let's find out. Let's go up. And we are looking for 175. So we spent 175 plex on this. We just want to get it back. We need to sell this skin for 250 plex just to break even. Now let's go to the regular game, Nest Store, and let's look at the price of like basic skins, right? What is CCP selling basic skins for? 50, 110, a bundle for 135. I'm seeing 77 for a federal police skin, a nice cool exotic skin for 110. Look at all these nicely priced skins, and CCP said that these skin prices for Skinner were going to be equivalent or fair or any of the things they and said, "This is a cash grab." Fuck. I'm very upset with this whole Skinner thing and how much plex it's requiring. We don't use Evermarks at all. I love the system. You can make cool things with it with a lot of time. I'll probably use it in the game. I'm still just freaking upset that it was such a terrible rollout and implementation, and that's not even the worst of it. Like, these skins are not items. They are specifically in this store. I can't make a skin and freely give it to my friends. I can't give it to my fleet. I can't give it to my alliance, especially not without other people just being able to buy it on the market. You can't have anything exclusive. It takes so long to do everything. It is such just a terrible rollout and just awful. And it is so sad to see because it is such a nice feature. Alright, I've rambled on enough about this Skinner thing. Let's go ahead and move on to something that I am actually really excited about. The rest of all the little tiny patch notes that is just a treat to behold. As I stated before, in this section we're going to be covering all of those changes that don't really fit neatly in the above content, but are really important to go over. So we're just going to kind of hit it bullet point by bullet point and enjoy. So first up is Corp projects. There are going to be 3 new Corp projects, which is Ship Replacement Program, Earn LP, and Salvage Wreck. The most important one, the Ship Replacement Program, you get to choose a ship hull and where it was killed and who killed it, if you want, and to decide a payout. So it's a good first step, especially if you don't have those big tech groups to work this all out for you, but it still needs a little bit of work, a little bit of refinement, but we'll see how it goes. Next up, say bye-bye to your daily login rewards and hello to a Battle Pass system. This is a new Battle Pass system for your daily goals. If you complete 12 of them in 1 month, you're going to fill out a track, you're going to get rewards. Seems pretty easy to do. It's just a different way of doing things. It's trying to get people out in space actually playing the game instead of just logging in all of their characters and getting the daily login rewards that way. I was guilty of that. As much as I, don't like this so much, considering you get less reward for more work, at least it is trying to make a better ecosystem, so not too hurt there. And also a thing to note is that this is now per character as opposed to per account, so if you really like to play all 3 of your character slots, then you can technically get more out of this new system. Pretty interesting, pretty geared towards new players, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. One thing that I don't know and that I am kind of salty about is that where are the Halcyon drugs and Halcyon Dawn skins? Are they gone forever? Are they now legacy like collector's items? I don't know. We'll see. Another really cool change for new players mostly, but it also will really affect my life, is that there is this new ship card view. So you're going to be able to look at all these different ships. They're bigger icons. They show you the roles. They show you all the good details for new players. But most importantly, is that you can hover over the icon and see fittings super easily. So this is going to save a lot of time trying to find that one ship with that one mod so you can know what your ship does, especially if you name your ship weird things that aren't making any sense. Really cool. I hope that it eventually gets ported to the other systems because I don't like the bulkiness of the card system, but I'm probably going to switch for the card system for now just for that one feature. All right, here is a change that is huge, but doesn't maybe seem like it. They have removed Neuralink conduits from subcapital pirate ship manufacturing. So now, those are only used on capital ships, which means there's less demand for them, which means prices will go down, which means capital ship prices will go down. Furthermore, added new manufacturing component for net resonators for each pirate faction for the manufacture of subcapital pirate hulls. So there is this new item in the LP stores. It's fairly cheap. The prices of all subcapital pirate ships are going down. Furthermore, minerals throughout space are becoming more abundant. Prices are coming down. Ships are going to be able to be used. This is going to have ships in space, and I am so here for it. Furthermore, to help this even more, is that they are removing purchasing whole hulls for LP, and they are lowering the prices of the LP offers for the BPCs for the pirate hulls. And we're not done yet. T2 capital guns reduce the amount of morphite or robotics required for manufacturing them. That's not all. All megasite, 50%. Across the board, you need half the amount of megasite. Vehement and Vendetta are now more in line with build cost with the other pirate capitals, so you might see more of them. They are just making it easier and easier to make all of these really cool ships, and we're gonna finally be able to like fly a Kizriel without so much money spent in it. Yeah! But moving on from that, Triglavians. They're no longer murdering new people for fun. That's right. So Triglavians used to, if you didn't have at least a tiny bit of rep with them, consider you their enemy. But finally, after years of torment and suffer and anguish, CCP has saw it in their infinite wisdom and grace to make it so that the Trigs are only going to attack enemies now, and they're doing a number of other things to kind of like tame those minor Triglavian victory systems. Such a really great change of quality of life for the new players, so they don't have to go get that faction rep immediately, like right out the gate. And continuing on with Triglavian space, observatory flashpoints. We know that these have been a problem for a long while. They're doing a little something to hopefully fix it. Bigger range to activate the first gate for 25 kilometers, and you also must be in second pocket to get the rewards now. And furthermore, the NPCs, they're hating drones now. So I guess this was previously a problem that maybe they didn't care about drones at all, but now they want those drones dead, so be on the lookout and maybe consider running or not seagulling, I don't know, these new updates for observatory flashpoints. Moving on to another wormhole-y kind of space, wormhole space, C5s and C6 drifters. They're changing, and very strangely, you're going to need to have a capital ship, aka a dread, on the grid before spawning the drifter hut for him to even come out. So this also means that you're going to have to spawn the upgraded Avengers, the Cap Wave, if you want to kill the drifter. It's going to add weird dynamics of like when you warp in your dread, how long you warp in your dread. The idea is that it was trying to like increase the risk and ships in wormhole space. I don't know how much this is landing. It doesn't seem like it's going over very well with basically any wormholer I know. It just seems like a really weird change, and like because you can just not do the drifter and instead do another site, it doesn't really change the ISK per hour per se, because as long as there's enough sites and you can go roaching, it just seems weird. But another thing that came out of this is that you no longer are going to be able to bonus wave people with your capital ships. If you warp in your capital ship at super far ranges, the upgraded Avengers are just not going to spawn. And if you warp in close, then they will spawn, but if you then warp out of the site, they will despawn. We'll see how it all pans out, but you know, kind of weird. Keeping on the wormhole topic, the Victorious Luxury Yacht. This thing was really good at being able to roll holes without like really ever being able to be caught. So they are changing its base stat so that it can't be used in that role anymore, but otherwise is fairly unaffected. There has also been a upgrade graphics pass on bombs and planets, which will make Eve continually looking as sexy as ever. So really look into those planets when you're raiding them skyhooks, and you will be there for a treat. Homefront operations are getting a whole bunch of quality of life changes to make it just better overall. Some things that I noted is that they are making it harder to grief people running the sites, because now there is an ownership mechanic where intruders will be flagged suspect, and they are also making it so that Empire Navy cruisers are no longer allowed in these sites. So you're going to be able to be using ships that are more newbie friendly, you know, so because Homefronts are designed for new players, even though I don't think basically any new player runs them. Speaking about new player friendliness, incursions. So it changes that these mothership sites now take 3 days in high sec before they will spawn, and 1 day in low sec. So again, this is an idea to help new players. I've never done incursions, but maybe you know what this means. Continuing on the new player help, they have also revamped the ship restrictions window, which now shows like all the different types of ships. You can search it. It's much better. I personally like it a lot too, so that's just a nice little quality of life update. Let's go ahead and move on to the faction warfare changes. So starting off, insurgencies are no longer going to spawn in the rear guards, and they are instead going to spawn much closer to the front lines, which means more fighting with pirates, right? Should be pretty fun there. Also, the small Navy 1 sites used to be static auto respawning, and instead those are getting replaced with medium advanced ones to kind of more incentivize cruiser gameplay in these faction warfare campaign and areas. Pirates can now get faction skirmish and info mine links. They're adding those into the game. Even better is that faction and officer signature radius suppression modules are new and are dropping from pirate reward crates. This is a module that you put on battleships to reduce their signature. It hasn't really ever gotten a lot of gameplay. So hopefully by adding these faction and officer, again, more officer mods just in the game everywhere, you're going to start seeing some purple here in the future. Hopefully make these modules seem maybe a little bit more useful. And let's finish up where we began, nullsec stuff. Two major things. First, Titan Doomsdays are doubling their damage. So there's been a lot of effective EHP bloat in the recent years, and CCP said, hey, Doomsdays should be dangerous. So they just doubled the damage, up to 3 million damage. That's a lot of damage. And then lastly, carriers. Carriers kind of lost their identity, lost their role throughout time, and now CCP is trying to reinvigorate them. And how are they doing that? Well, with movement of subcaps and caps. So you can now conduit up to 30 subcaps into a different area of space. And you are also getting access to a micro jump drive and a micro jump drive field generator to be able to boosh subcaps and caps. That'll be pretty cool, pretty cool. And even on top of that, they get a little extra bonus in that there is now faction, light, and support fighters. So give you just a little bit larger range of options for how you want to fit your ship. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about all of the really cool, interesting hidden features of EVE, make sure you watch this series videos. And if you have already watched that, then YouTube is going to go ahead and recommend these videos for you. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video or out in space, better yet.